Hey everyone, Joe here, Mike here, buildassetsonline.com. Booyah! Back again with another episode. Today we're going to be talking about something extremely important. And the title of this video or this podcast is going to be, why mindset is critical for making money online, building an online business, yada, yada, yada. Mindset is the most important thing you can have. And I want this to kind of be a manifesto to our viewers, our listeners, our students. And the reason being is because everything is changing on the internet. Everything is always changing. And, if you're seeking out like the latest and greatest in terms of like secrets and methods, you're always going to be a step behind because that stuff is always changing. And you should be doing your homework and researching the latest in terms of technology that you can utilize. But we've noticed that a lot of people in our Discord, as we're kind of growing our channel, growing our following on the podcast, a lot of people I feel like aren't coming into our Discord or emailing us. They're not in the best frame of mind to start an online business, Mike. And so I've prepared a series of statements that we're going to go over. I'm going to say the statements, and this might become required listening if you're going to join our free Discord or work with us in general. This might be required listening because this stuff is important. This is the most important stuff, and I don't want it to sound cliche. These are not going to be affirmations or anything like that. This is just going to be the foundation of how you have to think about starting an online business, investing in courses, all that good stuff. So any other opening words, Mike?
No, I mean, this is the second time trying to film this video because the first time I had internet issues, but I did not know beforehand that you had statements written out, and we didn't even get through all of them. So this will be new to me, but if you guys aren't familiar with like Joe and I and how we're different, Joe is not into like mindset in the cliche way at all. He's probably the last one to, set goals and like meditate and do affirmations and stuff to like do something subconsciously. This is about more so how to frame your mind when you're approaching online business and how to tackle the problems that you're going to inevitably face. Because no matter if you take our course and no matter how good a course is that you take, and I mean, we think ours is pretty comprehensive, or even our memberships and stuff like that, you're going to have to go through all these tasks yourself. You're going to have to do them yourself. So you need to have the right frame of mind to get you through each day and each task in a way that is productive for you.
Yeah, so some of these statements are going to be in relation to investing in courses in general. So you'll see, so I'll just start throwing out some statements. So the first thing I want to throw out there is that any sort of proof online can be faked. So we have people joining our Discord and being like, are these guys legit? Like, I want to see more screenshots. I want to see this. I want to see that. And look, anything online can be faked. Like, all the screenshots we have on our website, they're not fake, but they could be fake. I could go rent a Lamborghini and pose in front of it and do all sorts of stuff to make you think that, like, wow, this guy is amazing. But it could all be fake. Mm-hmm. So, if you're searching that stuff out on the basis of, should I invest in this education, or are these two guys or two girls that I should follow? I don't know why that was funny. Should I put my faith in these people? If you're looking for like testimonials and that kind of proof as proof, I feel like you're going down the wrong path. It's not to say that it's totally invalid, but it's not.
Well, the point is that we have like a whole page full of screenshots of sales, emails with empire flippers showing that we sold websites. We have videos of testimonials with people. We have interviews with students. So at a certain point, I understand you want proof that stuff is legit because there's scammers out there, but we give you more than enough. That's it. And if you're wanting more, then it's more likely an issue beyond that, because you have enough there to make a decision. At this point, you're still sort of maybe insecure about your own like ability to accomplish something.
Yeah.
And another screenshot is not going to set you over the edge. It's just not.
Yeah. No, and I remember, Mike, you might have not experienced this because when I bought my first online course, it
Yeah.
was honestly, yeah, some guy came into our Discord the other day and he's like, is anyone in the course? Like, I'm scared. I don't really, have the money to invest in it, and we're going to get to that in a second. But, if you're scared going into online business, I mean, being scared is not the right way to approach it. Even though actually was kind of scared my first time, but let me circle back to that. If you're scared and you're thinking like, oh, I'm going to invest in a course and it's going to be a miracle, it's going to change my life, don't do that stuff out of fear. Like, if it's your last $9,000 or whatever amount to invest in, like to keep the lights on and pay your bills, like don't do that either. Because another statement I want to make is like, whether it's our course or someone else's course, like this stuff isn't magic. Like you have to work hard at it and you have to be consistent at it over time to develop the appropriate skills to execute on it properly. But back to the scared thing for a second. I don't think Mike experienced this. But the first course I ever bought when I got started making money online in 2014 was a retail arbitrage course by someone named Jessica LaRue. And I was at my job and I hated I was really getting tired of working. Like I don't know. I wanted to quit and like be a pro gamer. And I was on Pat Flynn's podcast. And this woman was talking about how she went to Walmart, she went to all these grocery stores and resold stuff on Amazon. And yeah, I was a little scared. I didn't really know much back then. So I called my mom and I was like, Ma, I'm about to buy something for $300 on a credit card. Like, I'm not sure if it's a scam or not. Like, what do I do? And she's like, I don't know. What can you do? But I had that feeling. But the point was like, that was the limit of my fear. Like, I literally just bought it. And the next day I was in Walgreens scanning stuff with my phone. And within a few days I was sending stuff to Amazon. I wasn't waiting around for days and days and weeks trying to figure out, oh, is this legit? I did no research. I heard the podcast and I was like, let's go. Like, and then I think when you started, you already realized like, oh yeah, you can actually make money online. So there was that less of that for you.
Yeah, at that point, I already seen you quit your job, and it's not like I did that exact thing, so I knew kind of what I was in for. But I think there's always nerves when you go into doing a new thing. But the point is that waiting around for an answer in terms of like proof is not gonna work. You need it, either what we say resonates with you or it doesn't. And if it resonates with you and you want to actually do it, there's no point in waiting around for another piece of proof. There's no point in waiting around for another testimonial. Like, you need to decide if you're going to do it, you just go all in and do it. That's not to say to quit your job, but it shouldn't be a situation where you're like on your last, $1,000 and this is it. It's never going to be miraculous like that. But the point is that you need to, by the end of doing the course, if you actually go, or doing any course, if you actually follow it through and just you owe it to yourself to just push through all the boundaries, at the end of it, you will be you'll be better for it in the end. And so that's where the real growth is. And I mean, most courses are just tactics, but when you come out of the other side, that's like the main part.
Yeah. So even if you totally fail at a course, you complete it, something doesn't go right, you did something wrong along the way, you made a bad decision, and you make zero money, your site is not going to be profitable. Information or just the very nature of going through that process, it's a compounding process because knowledge and information online is compounding. And I'll let you talk to that a little bit, Mike, because I think the compounding effect of learning how to do stuff online is something that it just keeps happening to us. It keeps rearing its head out of the ground, and it's like, oh my God, we encountered this 4 years ago, and now we can fit this in with something we're trying today. So why don't you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think when people go into something, what are their concerns, right? is this, can I afford this for one? Is it going to work for me? Is it a scam? And so I think all these questions, besides for the affordability, are really addressed by like putting out consistent content. And that's what we try to do. We try to just come here and we talk about what we do in our day-to-day lives. We talk about our ideas about business. And so there's like you have that to fall back on. And so if you decide that something is right for you based on the content that we put out and it seems like something you want to mimic, then you just have to you have to just go through it. You have to just do. You can't ask questions anymore. You have to start putting things out into the world, and then you'll get feedback and you'll learn from it. Even if, again, even if you buy a bad course somewhere, and we hope that doesn't happen, and I think we try to like inform you on how to steer clear of stuff like that. But if information maybe doesn't work for you the first time, or something you don't have success with it, you never know a year from now when you're trying something else, it'll come back and it'll make more sense, and then you can go and apply it. And now you have a way of doing something that no one else has done. And that's like, Joe was talking about this before. When you're looking for tactics, by the time you find one, someone's already kind of done it and made their money with it. So by just constantly putting things out into the world and shooting your shot as it is, you can stumble upon these unique ways. You create your own system. And that's what we try to have our students do, because that's kind of where the real gold mine is. You can have your own rather than trying to look around and see who has the best, information, who has the best information. You have to just develop your own.
Yeah, exactly, Mike. And, so let's take dropshipping, for example. The core principles of what we teach will remain the same. But to execute at a high level, you're not going to, the things that are going to make the real difference in your store are going to come from the feedback you get from the real world. They're going to come from the feedback you get from your customers. They're going to come back the feedback you get from your suppliers, because there's just going to be like little pieces of information that are going to be exclusive knowledge to you. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be able to use that information, as an edge, to really accelerate your dropshipping store.
Yeah. And that's, sorry if I can just chime in.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we want to be happening, and that's why we offer like a community and we offer support. We offer it for that type of thing. Like, when you're actually taking action and you have these things come through where it's an opportunity for you to learn a lot and make things click really well. Like, that's where we can help you the most, because we can say, yeah, like that's exactly right. You're on the right path. Just do this little thing to it as well, and your results can be just pretty incredible.
Yeah, and so to speak a little bit more to the compounding effect of online knowledge, one of the things that I think has something pretty clear that we've talked about is the dropshipping knowledge, the paid ads, combined with the search engine optimization stuff. That is a clear compounding effect of the first SEO course we took. Be very transparent with this. It was the Authority Site System by Authority Hacker at the authorityhacker.com. And honestly, the course did not go too well for us. I don't know if we took it in its first iteration, or, I'm not like blaming them. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't like hold any ill will towards them because I didn't do well with their course at first. Like, not at all. It could just be I missed a few details and I didn't implement correctly, which I think, was really the case. I didn't know. It was my first time ever loading up a WordPress site. I didn't know anything about SEO. So the odds of me messing up are quite high. And it's really only through, okay, I tried this. What am I missing? These guys say try this. Income School says try this. All right, let me try that. And it's really, and then John Dykstra is like, no, you got to develop the process, do it this way. And it's really just a culmination of everything, like, that allows us to actually execute it in the way that we do. I'm just taking little pieces of information, trying it, seeing what's working, seeing what's not working, and then, always going back to the drawing board, like, and then refining the process to make it my own. So that's a clear example of like a compounding effect that we've, a very clear-cut example of stuff that we've done in our business that, learn a skill. Oh, we can apply this to drop shipping now.
Yeah.
So even though that first time when I made my first site with Authority Hacker, that site's actually doing pretty well right now. By the way, I hate to say it, but because we've learned over time and refined it. But it's a clear example of, okay, 3 years ago we took this course. I'm not whining and complaining because it didn't go well for me. I just refined it over time, and it has an exponential effect on all of our businesses.
Yeah, and also I think a big takeaway point from that was the fact that the first time you went through that particular course, you were completely new to that industry, that business model, like
Yeah.
using WordPress. And so even though I'm sure you watched that information like as as focused as possible and as willing to absorb the information as possible, you still were not able to do it to the full extent
Yeah.
that it was presented. Just because when you're so new to something, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And so you're just going to miss, like, information's just going to go over your head and over your head. And I remember, almost for like 2 years after we started this, you'd be like, oh my God, like this is what I was missing. Or like, I didn't notice this at all. So you would just keep going back and seeing these little mistakes that you made in the beginning of the process. Yeah. And now when we go to do something, it's so like it's so precise now because we've learned all these little details and we can execute on them at such a high level. And that's something you can never do from just buying a course and going through it once. It's something that has to be cultivated over just months and even a year or two of taking consistent action on something.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it. And don't, if you go through a course and it doesn't work for you the first time, like, the point is, don't treat that as a negative, because that's going to come back for you. As long as you keep going, as long as you keep staying consistent and trying to build your online business, the knowledge you learn, I can almost guarantee is going to come back to you in a positive way. And
so something I want to add to that, I feel like the ability to stay at something consistently is kind of congruent to the idea that what you're doing should not be like breaking your bank account. So right. If you can't afford a $1,000 course, then don't buy it. Yeah. I'm not trying to sell you out of your last $1,000. We just know what the information is worth. So we want you to make conservative bets with the actions that you take. And over time, you get better and better at assessing the situation. And at a certain point, you're going to see a course that could be $2,000, $5,000, but it's information that you can kind of run with. And it's not even, you don't even think about it. You don't think about whether the proof is real. You can tell just by looking at it and the information that's provided that it's that it's real. Just by the depth of information.
Yeah. So we're not going to get into too much detail on this, but Mike and I are working on a real estate related endeavor. It's kind of combined with online business and stuff like that. And before we got into it, Mike was like, look, like, he sent me this. He's like, look, I know you don't want to get too off track with what we're doing with the dropshipping stores, yada yada yada. But he sent me this, and like, I think we were both instinctually able to tell like when an opportunity is the right opportunity at this point, just because of our experience. Like, if he sent me something that was like, oh, these, you have. Finish my thought, Mike. I don't know where I was going with that.
I think you can kind of relate that back to, in the beginning, we didn't have an ability to assess like what good opportunities are, or not. And we would go on like the Warrior Forum. We'd buy some $27 course about like some junk tactic, how to get dentist leads, and they'll pay you for the lead, stuff like that. And in the beginning, it sounds good, and stuff like that is almost those people are very good at copy. People who are on the Warrior Forum, and it almost like triggers this fake sense in your head. But now when we look at things, we see the long-term opportunities in them. We see kind of the skills that we already have and how we can apply them. And like, we know if things fit together, that it's real, because it's.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. We can, over time, you can see, you have your knowledge, you can see a piece of education, and you could know, like, does this fit in well with my current skill set, and is it congruent with what I already know? And that's how you do it. There was a squirrel right outside my window, and it like freaked me out. It was like looking at me. Okay, so the other thing the other statement I want to make, and we're gonna kind of move on from like course related stuff after this, like guru related, course related stuff. But I want to say that even people that you think might be scammers, not us, I hope. I think we are very transparent and actually put out good content. But shady people out there, not that you should invest in their stuff, but you should have the mind frame that there is something that you can learn from them. Even the shadiest of the shady person, if you don't invest in they're selling a crazy course, even if you don't invest in it, there is something that can be learned from everyone. Because if they've captured your attention and they've said, they've been like, oh, if they've made you think like, oh, I want to invest in this, or I want to watch more of this guy's stuff, or I want to learn more about this, the very nature of that can be learned from. What do you think, Mike? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think capturing someone's attention is like anyone can capture your attention, regardless of if they're a scammer or not. So if your attention is being captured, you should not take that as a sign of authority or a sign of trust.
No.
It's just I don't know. It's a very surface level thing to do, especially online.
Right. No.
And then so you can analyze, okay, like why don't I trust this person? And I think most of the time the reason these people don't have trust is because they don't have enough content out. There's not enough sort of ways for a person to go and interact and learn more about you. And that's why we pump out so much content, is because I feel like you can't possibly fake what we're talking about. Like we make videos every week. There's so many new videos of us just going on and on about this stuff. We can never fake it.
Yeah.
So I think that's like the only way, or probably the best way to communicate trust.
So what I was trying to say with that was, say
Did I go off topic?
No. I think I kind of misspoke with what I was trying to say. Well, I wasn't trying to say like you should trust people you think are scammers. What I was trying to say was that, okay, someone captures your attention. Before you go crazy and like click the buy now button on their course, take a step back and be like, okay, why did they get my attention? Did they get my attention because they were talking about like real stuff, like real business stuff that makes sense? Or because subconsciously I saw them in front of their Ferrari and, I was like enamored by that? Or I saw something that really hit me on like a subconscious level of my mind?
Yeah, like
and
they're
that's
poking
why.
at your problems, or
Yeah.
they just all these things about how you could have a better life, and they're trying to sell you a dream, or they're trying to sort of antagonize your pain points.
Yeah, be very mindful of getting your pain points antagonized, and realize when they are tickling your pain points and making them feel a little better. But also be mindful of, this is stuff you can apply to your business, even not in a malicious way. Even with drop shipping, your customers are going to have pain points, and you can address those in a non-malicious way with how you do the copy on your stores, how you do the copy on your emails, stuff like that. It's all tied together, and that's what I was trying to say, is that everyone can be learned from. If they've captured your attention in some way, even if they're not worth, at the end of the day, everything's fake and they're not worth anything, the stuff that captures your attention is worth analyzing. That's what I was trying to say with that, Mike.
Okay, next one.
Okay. You have to make this a game. What do you think about that?
I mean, well, let's hear what you have to say.
Well, I think
you're a lot more into games than me.
No, I know, but I think the fact that you can't, when you're doing this stuff, you kind of have to have fun with it. You don't want to like look at this stuff like it's too real, because I feel like if you think it's too real, you're just gonna get caught up on the details. And at the end of the day, I mean, in the grand scheme of life, like, this stuff isn't that real. Like, it's just numbers. It's just digital ones and zeros in a bank account. And yeah, it's real. It affects whatever.
I mean, it's real. I think the idea of gamifying something can help you get to, like, yeah, it can kind of break down that barrier of being nervous about your next move.
Yeah. Because
in a game, if you mess up, you die, you respawn, whatever. This is actually kind of like that.
Yeah.
As long as you're not breaking your bank, as long as you're doing things in a way that's conservative to you, you can respawn, and now you start leveling up and stuff like that. For me, I feel like I'm a competitive person, and like I like treating it as real life. So like I for me, like the game is to set goals and then try to achieve it. That I guess I'm gamifying it in some way. Um, but yeah, you're right. I think the point you're getting at is it's just not to be afraid of failure. Like if you
Yeah.
play a video game, you're not afraid to die, and so
Yeah,
you should
well, the also thing is like we make like funny jokes about this stuff. Like we kind of have like inside jokes where we're talking about I can't even think of one at the top of my head, but I think we have made it into like a game
yeah,
in some ways. And I
yeah,
guess
we have
maybe I look through everything through the lens of it being a game, and maybe that's just me. Um,
could be.
so all right,
Is
well,
that it?
I think I've kind of exhausted my list here, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff we could still talk about with this.
Let's recap those points again because we went all around and
Yeah, we kind of did.
kind of circle it back.
Kind of did. So the first one we talked about is that if you're looking to start your business online, looking to just purchase some form of education, whether it be through us or someone else, just remember that any sort of proof can be faked, and searching for social proof as in like testimonials and yada 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 is not, or like looking at their car and their lifestyle, that's not the be all end all. The be all end all is assessing the information that someone is putting out and seeing whether it makes sense to you, not seeing whether it like hits your pain points or gets you fantasizing about like totally changing your life.
Mm-hmm.
Point number 2 was that this any information you learn online, as long as you're implementing it, you learn by implementing. You don't really learn by like watching and like consuming. The learning is done through the implementation. So as long as you're implementing, all the learning you do through implementing will compound over time and will feed on each other. Just the example that we talk about how we do SEO on our dropshipping stores through our experience of making like Amazon affiliate sites and stuff like that. The other one was that anyone can be learned from, but be very, very mindful of how, if someone captures your attention, they can be learned from. If you're, just be very mindful of how they're capturing your attention, and be logical and assess how they're capturing it, and apply that to your own business, but of course in an ethical way. Like don't try and sell people something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Tactics are tactics. It's only malicious with your intention. So,
yeah,
if you have some really persuasive, if you want to be persuasive, just make sure you're doing it in a way that is win-win for everyone.
yeah, definitely. It's not like persuasiveness is a bad thing. Definitely not. But it's important as someone who's looking to start an online business, you have to be very mindful of how persuasion is happening.
Yeah, and you can learn from people even if you believe that they're doing something in a malicious way.
That's right.
Just don't do it maliciously yourself.
That's right. And the last one, which I don't know if we totally agreed on that one, was that you have to make it a game. But yes,
I mean, I think when you break it down, we are on the same page as far as the idea of failure and stuff like that.
yes. So maybe we should. I don't have any more points written down, but we should touch a little bit on failure. And I want to say that doing something and failing is way better than not doing anything. Like infinite times better. So that's kind of why it ties back to point 1, where if you're analyzing whether you should do something, if you're like searching for more proof, yada yada yada, you're literally like people that come into our Discord channel and like ask us just those very basic questions, who clearly haven't done anything and they're not sure which direction to go. You're better off doing anything and failing at it, whether it be you don't buy any course at all, you just load up Shopify, you're just trying to you're doing something and you're failing. And then you come into Discord and say, hey guys, I did this. I failed. What's going on here? Why did I fail? That is always so much better than doing nothing. What do you think about?
Mhm.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, and I kept meaning to say this, but we drifted off into other places. The main reason that I believe I was able to have success online at the rate that I did and like was able to quit my job so quick was I went into it and I said, okay, I can spend this amount each month, and even if I totally fail and I make $0 back, if I do this for say 6 months or whatever period of time, if I just go all out, not be afraid to lose this money, in the end, if I make nothing, I just go back to doing my job, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I completely eliminated the hesitancy. I don't know if that's a word.
Yeah.
My hesitation, and I was just ready to take action. And no matter what happened, I was just going to keep going for a certain period of time. And I think throughout the last 5 years or whatever, every time that we've taken that approach, it's turned out to be in our favor. And we've kind of hinted at that with like all the videos we made regarding kind of online poker versus internet marketing or all these things, is the idea that this is the only thing that if you just are conservative and you keep playing and you keep playing, that the odds just begin to stack so high in your favor that it's hard to lose after doing this for like a year.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's exactly the point we were trying to make with our online poker versus online business video. I think that sums it up pretty darn well. Um, oh man, I had a last point that I wanted to make, but I was so enamored how you really wrapped up that video that I kind of lost it, Mike.
All right, let's just cut it.
All right, let's just cut it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. BuildAssetsOnline.com/membership. If you want to join the elite fleet and work with us one-on-one, BuildAssetsOnline.com/playbook. To grab our free course to learn how we recommend you structure your online business portfolio from the ground up. And that's about it. We'll see you in the next episode.
Take it easy.